Rabindra Tagore, the myriad-minded Renaissance man, the first modern composer and painter in India, is still adored by over 260 million Bengalis the world over, who still express their myriad emotions through his poems and songs nearly 8 decades after his death. He is also the first Asian to win the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913 for his Gitanjali, containing profoundly sensitive, fresh, and beautiful verse. You will probably forget everything I have done, but not my songs, he once said prophetically to Bengalis. Thanks to gramophone records, many of these songs have been preserved for posterity. The first Indian company to record Tagore himself and popularize his songs was Hindusthan Record.
In the late 1920s, my father, Chandicharan Shaha, was in Germany to learn record manufacturing techniques. During that period, he learned recording from George Neumann and made a plan to set up the first Indian national record company in Calcutta. Incidentally, he met Rabindranath there, and after hearing his plans, Rabindranath was extremely enthused and promised all assistance to help his project to succeed. Not only that, subsequently, he played a leading part in ensuring that more artists came to his studio and recorded more and more of his compositions. This was perhaps why Hindustan prides itself in having one of the best and the most unique collection of Rabindra Sangeet that exists in India. Grounded in the genius of the poet's aura, Hindustan has been in the forefront of popularizing his music since then. The Bruno recordings are the brightest testimony of our belief in his creativity.
Western music is dominated by harmony, but Indian music is purely melodic. Melody and harmony are like lines and colors in pictures. Tagore said to Einstein in 1930, "It is a beautiful comparison," Einstein immediately remarked. And Tagore continues, "A simple linear picture may be completely beautiful. The introduction of color may make it vague and insignificant. Yet, color may, by combination with words, create great pictures, so long as it does not smother and destroy their value." This has been my inspiration, to add color to Tagore's beautiful melodic lines by using harmony and the sounds of a philharmonic orchestra. But one may wonder, what about the magic of his beautiful words?
In the 1920s, in the years between the two world wars, an anxiety that Tagore shared with his contemporaries all over the world led to a concern with the meaningful of words under the threat of another world war and the political demagoguery which turned words on their heads and created a world of confusion. Out of this confusion, there emerged a darkness about which Tagore speaks again and again in his letters, in his poetry, in his interviews nationally and internationally. And slowly, the desire for an abstraction that would convey meanings beyond the limitations of words. This becomes a pursuit. First, in his paintings. From his early scribbles, he grows into a painter consciously. In a poem in 1937, Tagore speaks of words turned into commodities being carried throughout the world in trade ships. He talks of the need to rise beyond the limits of vachana, the speech, words. And in this quest, he reaches the vision of a Chitrabhanu, a sun of images, that allows him the rich freedom of exploring with lines and colors and shades meanings that words cannot catch.
I had already tried to do this way back in the 1990s in an album called Tagore in Symphony. But already then I felt I needed to go well beyond it. It is with this in mind that I approached Dr. Kedarnath Awati, a former professor of music at the Film and Television Institute in Pune, India. He is a composer of Western classical music in his own right, and I am so happy to say he readily agreed.
When Dr. Partho Ghosh first proposed this idea that we try and rearrange some of Tagore's songs for a philharmonic orchestra, I was quite excited because basically that is my skill set. I was trained as a Western classical musician. Having been in the music field for most of my working life, I would not attempt normally to try and orchestrate most of Indian music because the parameters are different from Western music. However, in the case of Tagore, I discovered that there are many of his songs which lend themselves to the art of orchestration, of harmony. A stage came during our project where we had two tunes ready. One was Antoro Momo Bikoshito Koro and the other was Eki Lavonne. Dr. Partho Ghosh, I must say, was not just encouraging, but he was absolutely delighted that I was able to actually produce a score, and we were able to go to the next stage, which was basically looking for funding to actually do it. And I'm happy to say that I was familiar with at least one orchestra in Europe, the one in Brno, conducted by Michael Toms, and I had worked with him before. So one thing needed to be done for both these pieces, because it became clear to me that some of the means that Tagore had put in his tune had to be executed by the orchestra. And for that I had to sort of invent a system of notation which I could then later on explain to the musicians, when I finally went to Brno.
Antaro mamo bikoshito karo, antaro taro he, antaro mamo bikoshito karo, antaro taro nirmalo karo ujjalo karo
Antaro Momo Bikoshito Karo is, I think, one of Rabindranath Tagore's most profound songs. And I have tried to keep this extreme sort of internal nature of this song in the course of my orchestration.
লাবণ্যে পূর্ণ প্রাণ প্রাণে সোহে একে লাবণ্যে পূর্ণ প্রাণ